Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on our very first weekly walkthrough special for our EdgeClear members. This is Morad Askar, known online as Futures Trader 71. I'm going to walk you through this one, and hopefully we can get to, there's a lot of information here. We'll do our best to get through it. You're welcome to ask questions using the chat panel in front of you. Can I get a sound check real quick? Okay. So I want to remind you that derivatives trading is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Here's what we've got on the agenda today. There's a lot that's packed into this platform, and I'm going to do my best to walk you through it to show you what it's capable of. We'll start with just a quick intro of what EdgeProX is. We'll do everyone here is a member of EdgeClear already, but just for the sake of practice, we're going to go through a brief intro of who EdgeClear is. We're going to cover workspace features, the layouts, the scales, things like that to get you familiar with that. Oh, good catch, guys. Good catch. Let me back up to the disclaimer here. Again, derivatives trading is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not indicative of future results. So our agenda, we'll cover the intro to EdgeProX, intro to EdgeClear. We'll cover workspace features, that there's a lot to cover there. We'll go over the heat map and what it's capable of. We'll go over volume imprint. Some of you might know this as a volume scope or footprint. We'll go over volume profiling. We'll go over TPO market profile charts, the advanced DOM overview, and we're going to walk you through how you set up, turn on, turn off your simulated trading account within EdgeProX, cross-instrument trading, bracket orders and strategies, using sharing cloud levels and the EdgePro line, and also we'll leave you with some information as to where to get support when you need it. Hope you're paying attention here. So what is EdgeProX? It's an all-in-one solution for active traders. It is a full release product. It has been around for some time now. It is not a demo product. It is not a beta. We're going to continue to develop features which may go into beta first, but this is a full release product that you can trade your live or paper trading account with on CQG or Rhythmic. It's also capable of connecting to IQ Feed. It has advanced DOM features featuring MBO capabilities. It has the volume profile and TPOs. It has some native order flow tools. This is where it's strong. Order flow includes a heat map, volume imprint or the footprint, large block indicators. It does have cross-instrument trading in case you're tracking the minis and trading the micros and so forth. It's capable of doing that. It also features cloud levels. These are levels that you can put into a CSV file, put on the cloud in a Dropbox or whatever, and share with others. As long as you give them the URL, they're able to view your levels in real time and update it in real time as you update the CSV file. EdgePro line, what that is, it's also got a fully functional 300 plus studies and indicators. You can layer indicators, which is unique to this product. You can put a footprint up and then put a heat map on top of it and put all kinds of stuff on top of that. There's a lot of layering capabilities with this product, so you can represent information just the way you'd like to see it. It is native to Windows and Mac. There's also a Linux version, but that's not out yet. It runs on Rhythmic, CQG, or IQ Feed. Again, this is an execution as well as analytics package. All of these features are available for a low price of $34.99 per month. So there's nothing additional to buy or anything. You just get everything at that rate on a monthly subscription. And that's that. So that's EdgeProX in a nutshell. It'll be released to the public. It's been released to you for about a week. It's going to be released to the public tomorrow afternoon. So you're the first to get eyes on it. What is EdgeClear? EdgeClear is an independent futures brokerage. It was created by traders for traders. I founded the company and I'm 100% owner of it. And the brokers here, some of them trade and understand what it takes to trade. It's an award-winning team, multiple clearing relationships, experienced team. We do our best to solve whatever your demands are, whether it's automation or CME membership or whatever. We have the experience to handle whatever you're throwing at us. Hopefully, we do the best we can. Continuously innovating and building. We're going to continue to innovate, build the platform, as well as EdgeClear and its capabilities. The whole thing is trader inspired. So our goal is to figure out what traders, the online independent trader needs, whether that trader is discretionary, clicking, whether it's scalping or swing or automation, or if you're running a fund, we do our best to have a solution for whatever your needs are. Let's go over the workspace features. So we're going to talk about what it is, the workspace. We're going to talk about the components. I'm not going to get too much into this. We may do that in the next walkthroughs. These walkthroughs are going to occur at 1 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday. You can register and re-register. Keep coming back and asking questions, whatever you like. So I can't delve into all the nuts and bolts of this platform. There's just a ton there. So I'm going to cover an overview. I want to help you understand scaling, and I want to help you understand our default layout when you load this platform for the first time, our default layout and what we expect you to do with it. So here we go. When you load the platform, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see the default screen is a heat map, and essentially, this is a standard. The platform is Java based. There are a lot of menus and nested menus within menus. But in general, all I want to do is cover with you some important pieces. On the heat map specifically, let's dive right into the fact that we have a DOM connected to the heat map. We can turn that DOM off and just look at the heat map by itself. Turn it back on by clicking this button right here. Because it's a heat map, most people prefer to have it synced with the DOM. So I want prices on the DOM to be synced with the prices on the heat map. For that, I just click these arrows, scale price graph with DOM, and boom, right there, the heat map and the DOM are moving together. Okay, we'll cover the heat map in a lot more detail here in a minute. I'm going to move to the active layout or the active page because I want to emphasize the features relating to scaling. Scaling can be tricky depending on which platform you've used in the past. When you scroll your mouse, you're scrolling the time scale. You're zooming in and out in time, but you can also zoom in. You can also scale the vertical by clicking and holding. Double clicking on the price scale will issue an order. You can turn that off, but in general, you want to click and hold to scale in and out. You can turn off automatic scaling, and now you can pick up the chart and just move it around. But if you have automatic scaling turned on, you can move sideways, but you can't move up and down. Okay, so in case you get frustrated thinking, man, I just want to move the chart up or down, I want to see what's up there, you got to turn off auto scaling at the top. Okay, you can also lock the time scale or the scroll by just clicking it on. The other thing you want to note is, let's say I have @ES. So if you type @ES, it automatically translates the symbol to whatever data feed you have. So here I have @ES. I'm on Rhythmic. I'm on a Rhythmic account that's feeding live data right now. We do have for demo purposes, because a lot of customers have already had a Rhythmic demo, you can't have one for another year. Those are exchange rules. We've arranged to have delayed data, and I want to inform you that if you have delayed data, some things are a little quirky, especially with the order flow, the MBO, and things like that. So don't get frustrated at EdgeProX for that. Just understand that the delayed Rhythmic feed is not the same as the real-time feed, and so just keep that in mind. The other thing I wanted to speak about is if I change the symbol up here, and there's you can just hit this little arrow and you can select from just standard symbols. If you change the symbol and you happen to forget to lock your studies, what you'll get is a chart that is blank, or a chart with that symbol with whatever you put on it last time. So you want to make sure, if you want to switch to NQ or whatever and keep, in this case, your profiles and these lines and whatever these studies up here are, the VWAP and so on, you want to make sure you lock your studies before you do that. The rest of the buttons are self-explanatory. There is a replay feature up here. There's a replay mode. You can click on that. You'll get a little player down here, and you can go move forward and backwards bar by bar depending on the periodicity that you've selected. Okay, so these are the general things. One thing I want to make sure I impress upon you is, well, another thing is you can pick up and move components. So I only have one chart here with a DOM open. Again, I can turn off the DOM and look at the chart, or I can turn it back on. You'll notice our DOM has notes in it. This is not a standard thing, but for EdgeProX, we encourage people to put notes or to load their homework into the DOM as well as the chart itself. But if I had multiple charts on here, all you have to do to manipulate what's going on your screen is to pick up the tab and just move it around to other parts of the screen, and you'll see it snap, or you'll see it highlight the area you want to drop it on top of. That's another Workspace feature. The last thing I want to cover with you is this is the default layout. So the default layout gives you the heat map, gives you the imprint. This is an imprint with a heat map on top of it. I'll talk about that in a minute. It gives you the active trading chart. So this is just a standard bar chart, 15 minutes. You can change the periodicities down here, or you can select them right there. There's a TPO chart, which has the right side being TPO, and in this case, the TPOs, you can set them as colored TPOs with a value area that's shaded in, or you can just show blocks. You can open up and separate the letters. We'll go over that in a minute, but this chart has TPO plus volume profile, so you can compare both. And then there's an overview chart that has the most active products that most people trade here. You've got the indices in the first row, you've got the fundamental products, so the bonds, the notes, gold, silver, and then at the bottom you have your major currencies. So this just demonstrates the fact that you can just snap in and snap out whatever charts you want to get an overview screen. And then this is the account screen. And this account screen here provides just some details on your active and filled orders. These can be moved around as well, so you can see how it's highlighting areas that you can snap these to. You can set this however you like, but the default position is we want you to see what active accounts you have. We want to see what open positions you have. You can look at closed positions. You can look at the completed trades, but you can also generate a performance report. So if I had trades here to import, I can select the dates, the instrument, the account, generate report, and it'll bring in kind of an analysis of your prior performance, basic things like win-loss ratios, things like that, okay? The expectation on this is that we are not expecting you to keep all this stuff up. Like you don't use heat maps, hit the X, close it, it's gone. So we're just demonstrating what this thing is capable of what this thing is capable of, and we don't expect you to use the charts as you like them. You can go in here and turn off various features, delete various features. You can right click on any of these and make them, hide them, right? And then if you want to bring them back up, just right click anywhere blank on a chart, view, hidden components, select it, and it comes back on. Like I can hide the heat map here because, hey, it's adding too much noise. I don't want to see it. Okay, so now I'm looking at the imprint without a heat map on top. If I want to bring that back, view, hidden components, view, hidden components, and it comes back. Okay, so this is just the overview part of the workspace. Now we want to get back to talking about the heat map features. So for the heat map, we'll spend a little bit of time on this. We get a lot of questions on this. Again, you can disengage the scaling of the heat map from the scaling of your DOM, or you can keep them both engaged as we use classically, we've seen with products like Bookmap and so on. You can center your DOM or all of your DOMs by clicking the centering button. There's also the ability to recenter the DOM, and I'm getting ahead of myself here because there's a DOM period overview. By double clicking in the ladder column, just make sure that the price column, allow orders to be placed with the mouse on the price column, is turned off before you can do that. But then if I wanted to see what is the size that is in control here, you can see that, you know, the darkest color, which is maroon, a dark red, represents the highest volume on the screen. If that's off screen, then it goes and finds the next darkest or highest volume bid or offer and then adjusts the scale to that. So this is an important setting that you should be aware of. If I go into the settings for the order heat map, and I do that by going to the settings cog, you have a few visible settings that you can control here, like the contrast. I can remove lower volume levels, the order flow is lower volume, or I can show all of it so I can see the whole thing. You can change the opacity of the heat map. I can make it fade away to basically 0, or I can make it so bright and kind of in your face. But one of the things you want to pay attention to here is scale visible only. With scale visible only checked, it'll only scale the colors to what's on the screen. So as I move up and down, you'll notice the colors change. It's like, why shouldn't these colors stay stable? No, they shouldn't. Because if I move this 379 offer off the screen, it's no longer the biggest offer. The biggest offer is 291, which is comparable to 284. So you get another one, which is comparable to 286. So you get another red one, things like that. So this is scale visible only. If you uncheck this, it'll scale the entire depth. And as you know, with Rhythmic, you get all of the CME depth. In fact, we have show all set here, but we can also say, you know what, just scale to the top 10, to the top 10 prices. And so only go 10 deep or go 100 deep, and it'll scale to that. So, but if you say show all, it'll scale to whatever the CME sends us. So if there's 1,000 lot way off in a distance, 100 points away, it's going to scale the heat map to that, unless you select scale visible only. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Adjusting components of this, so that's one of the key components there. Some of the other features in here, you could set it to only show a certain size, and so on and so forth. The other thing I want to point out here is this is set to 100 milliseconds. You can create a 1 millisecond chart. It'll show in milliseconds. The problem with doing that is now you can't go back very much. This is a feature request that I already put in, that if the user starts to scroll their mouse wheel and they keep scrolling, it'll automatically start compressing the time scale, and it starts to pull in data from the past, but it won't update as quickly, right? The alternative to this is to create your own time scale. So you can go to 5 second, for example, and get a heat map that draws, that moves up and down, but does not complete the bar, or doesn't complete this periodicity for 5 seconds. My personal desktop has 100 milliseconds, has 500 milliseconds, has 1 second, and has 5 seconds in it. When you zoom in to 100 milliseconds, you can see every print. You're always going to see every print. It's just that when does it complete that bar? So right now it's only completing the bar. It's completing the bar every 100 milliseconds. If you go to 1 minute, you'll just see a lot of dots on top of each other, or that appear to be outside of the actual line. That's not an error. It's just that there was a point where this line was pointing up, down, and it closed down here. Remember, these are bars, so you can change this to candlesticks or whatever you want. This is the power of EdgeProX, in that you can just layer things and show them as you wish. The other, we talked about the opacity and contrast. We talked about aligning the DOM on or off. And then the other one is big trades. So if you pull up the big trade study, this is basically the study that is putting these dots on here. You have full control of it. You can aggregate by order. Some of you know this as consolidated tape. Some of you know this as reconstructed, but reconstructed is a guess based on a timestamp as to which trades belong with each other. But with the MBO feed from Rhythmic, and it's only from Rhythmic that you can get this at the moment, because it's the only one that has an MBO feed, it'll actually reconstruct the orders or the trades as they were sent to the exchange. You can create whatever outline you want. You have rectangle, circle, whatever, and you can adjust the size of the circle. Also, the opacity of the circle can be adjusted. So if you do it on the fly, right here, I can make those kind of faint, or I can make them really solid like that, okay? So a lot of, and I wanna remind you folks, this is all under development. Now, this is a full-featured platform. I've been using this platform to actively participate in the market for the last 3 months. I don't log into anything else anymore in terms of my execution and short-term analysis platform. So it's fully capable. This is not a demo platform. It's not a beta. It's ready to go, okay? So that covers the heat map features. Are you keeping up? How's everybody doing here? We're gonna go into volume imprint features. So the volume imprint, we're going to talk about what it is. The volume imprint's very simple. It's a footprint, or the volume scope chart. It is a way of organizing the order flow. It's a way of organizing the order flow in a stacked manner. So we can look at how much was traded on the bid or offer throughout the range of a bar. We'll talk about the types of data to be displayed. So you can display bid ask, you can display delta, you can display the ladder of prices that have traded. We'll go over basic parameters. We'll go over layering of other indicator types and show you how you can layer different things on top of the footprint, which is very unusual compared to the platforms I've used in the past, or that are available in the market. And we'll talk about cumulative volume delta. So here it is, the page for your chart. So to start with, what I'm going to do is hide the heat map. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and hide component just to have a clean chart. I'm also going to hide cloud notes. I'm going to hide the EdgePro line, and we're going to just see the volume. So I have two things on this chart. I have volume profiling. Cost instrument trading's on. I have a volume profile for the day. So this is your profile for the entire session, which you can, of course, control. You can set it to RTH only. You can have it do the full session and so on and so forth. You can tell it what details you want to have. You can align it to the right or left. You can show the POC. You can show the value area, all that good stuff. Bunch of other stuff too. But what we're interested in here is the volume imprint. And my current volume imprint chart that you're seeing here is set to ladder. In ladder mode, what it's showing me is what has printed in a ladder format. So we can see here that when price was here, it traded 29.51. This chart is set to default to a PNF chart of 1 tick by 8. So every time it reverses for 8 ticks, it creates a new bar. This is just I'm showing you basically how I'm using it to trade, but of course you can set these however you like. You can do Renko charts, you can do 1 minute, 5 minute charts, you can do range bars, you can do whatever you like. There are many different chart types that you can use. I believe there are 19. So here it shows me that 29.51 traded on the offer, 32.64 contracts traded on the bid. And it's organized so that whatever was lifted on the offer is on the right side and is blue, and whatever hit the bid, in other words, when the market was trading across these two prices, this is what was hit on the bid, and this was what was lifting on the offer at that point. The little yellow box right here, can anyone guess what this is showing? What do you think this is showing, this yellow box? You can see them across the entire screen. Right, it's the point of control or the highest volume price that traded. It's showing you where a lot of the volume had traded within that 1 tick by 8 tick point and figure bar. And it shows you the candlestick to show you where the bar started, where it finished, and the extremes of it. Okay, a lot of information here. What is this number on the top? What is this 901? You don't have to have it, but we put it on here because I think it's useful. It's the delta or the volume delta for that bar. So this bar opened down here, pushed all the way to up here, came back, closed down here. This is what it traded at every price, and it traded a total of 901 contracts more on the offer, meaning lifting the offer, than it did on the bid. Okay? And so this is ladder. This is the ladder format. You can change it to show a profile. So this shows you a profile of what has traded there. So this, you're getting the accumulation, the total volume at each price, rather than the volume broken out into the bid ask. You can get bid ask data. So this is how most people like to see their footprints, or the classic footprint. Not a fan of this because I want to see the candle and I also want to see them split out. But this is a classic way of showing what occurred on the bid or ask. This is the ladder, which is the classic version or the default version. You can see the delta at every price. What was the delta at these prices? This is the sum of the volume on that was traded, the selling volume versus the buying volume, and it tells you what was traded at each one of these prices. And then of course, just volume as a whole, not showing you any other indications. This is volume as a whole. So that's what the features are. I can set it to RTH only. I can set where it stands in alignment to the candlestick, and so on and so on and so forth. There's a lot to manage here with the volume imprint. You can control how it displays, what colors, the font. You can set your imbalances. Imbalances are differences between the bid and the ask that exceed a multiple. Let's say it traded 3 times the volume on the bid, meaning selling, than it did on the ask. You would get an indication that you can set here. You can change the font to indicate that, hey, there's been a big imbalance here. Somebody came in and slammed the bid and ran away with the market. Like sometimes if there's a sweep down, a seller comes in, sells 5,000, you might see zeros on the bid at these prices and some volumes on the bid on the red side. those will all show up as imbalances. It's telling you there's an excessive amount of interest at these prices. You can set the profile type. I won't go through all of these because it's like really, there's just an incredible amount of detail. I'm going to turn these back on just to set it back to its default. And I want to pull your attention to the fact that we are layering different indicators. We're layering a heat map on top of a footprint map, and I can cause the heat map to be reduced. So I can see that there was a lot of size up here. And this is just one thing to remember when you have a periodicity like a point and figure or 1 minute or whatever, the heat map showing you a snapshot, because it can't show you what happened in between because it's set to a periodicity. It's showing you a snapshot when the bar ended. So it's showing me here that there was a lot on the offer. It's red. 32 of it traded before this bar sold off and ended up down here. This is pretty important resistance for now. So this is giving you a whole lot of information about what's occurred when this bar, in that point of time when the bar closed. So you can see the colors change with every bar because it's a snapshot. It's not a continuous view of what's going on. You can, of course, change this to a 100 millisecond chart, but then you're just going to get a footprint or a volume imprint that's just running across the screen. But you can play with that if you like, okay? Anyway, I know that's a lot to cover. Volume profile, I'm gonna have to accelerate this because these sessions are supposed to be 30 minutes long. This is, of course, the kind of the first time, the debut, and we're spending a lot of time on a lot of information here, but I'm going to accelerate what we're covering here. And of course, if you have questions, we're happy to answer those at the end and in further sessions. The thing we're going to cover now is the volume profile. We're going to talk about what it is, the basic parameters, and how you combine volume profiles on the platform. So I'm going to go to the EdgeProX default active. A volume profile is this histogram. A volume profile is simply a way of displaying how much volume occurred across a price for a period of time. These charts, these particular volume profiles, are looking at the day. It's not RTH only. We're looking at basically the entire session from the time it opened until now, and how it has traded so far. So each one of these represents, and if I go across the volume profile, I can see how much traded at each price. So you can see at the high up here, it traded very little. If I can get it to show up, I'd have to zoom in, but it's showing you how many contracts traded at the very high, how many contracts traded at the tick below that, below that, below that. And then I've set the value area to show up in gray, and I've set up the point of control or the most traded price for the session to show up in red. Okay, so this is what a volume profile is. Yesterday's volume profile looks like this, and all this is doing is giving you an insight into what's happening inside of the bar. So if I look at these bars, I can see, okay, there's the high, the open, high, low, close, but where specifically did the auction take place? Where was the fight within that bar? And the volume profile tells me within a day's range where much of the market has accepted prices. You'll notice there's a pink line or pink box here. This is an imbalance. Where these often show up, they show up at swing extremes. They happen in real time. This is a setting within the volume profile chart, and you can turn it off. If there's absorption, if there's an absorption level of 3, and we can provide more detail on this, show me an outline of where that bid or ask is. So it's set to display, and it's showing when there's a lot of absorption of the sellers, it'll show red, if there's a lot of absorption by the buyers. If it shows a lot of absorption by the buyers, it'll show in red. In other words, they absorbed the selling. If they absorb the buying, it'll show in green. So if you go back in time, you can see that these tend to show up at initial extremes where there's a lot of absorption that has taken place. This is a unique indicator to this platform. You can leave it on or off, but in general, the basic parameters affecting profiles is what kind of a profile do you want to show. You can have multiple profiles show up. It'll quickly recalculate here, and you could see the delta superimposed above the normal profile. You could do a lot to customize this. You could set it to RTH only. You can set it to where it should show up. Should it be at the start of the bar? Should it be in the middle? Show the open and the close. It'll show you where this day opened and closed. It puts this little bar over here, and so on and so forth. You can color it by the bid ask. In case you're wondering, this cyan line right here is just VWAP. You can set that to whatever you like as well. Okay, it could be RTH only, and so on and so forth. This is just another indicator that you can layer on top of here. Pretty soon we're going to release the mid, which is another line I like to look at, but you can adjust that mid to represent 50% of the day's range, or 28%, 38%, whatever you want, and it can it'll layer it on top of here. Okay, at the bottom, of course, we have the volume delta. This is the cumulative volume delta. It's blue above the zero line. It's this orange below the zero line. And what this is tracking is the aggressor. How much volume traded on the offer? That's a positive delta. How much minus how much volume traded on the bid, which is negative delta. So currently the market is sideways, but the aggressor is a seller so far for the entire session. I can, of course, change the volume delta to only show RTH, and you have those customizations. Is everybody holding up okay? Still here? All right. It's a lot to cover, I know. TPO charts, I have them set in a very generic way. TPO charts are classic market profile charts. These profiles are not set by volume. These profiles represent 30-minute TPOs. A TPO stands for a time price opportunity. So this profile here is set to show one day, a 30-minute interval for each letter, okay? And it's showing every letter, each price, one tick. So what this shows is in bracket A at the beginning of the day, we opened here and we traded in the first half hour, we traded up and down this range. Then bracket B basically had an equal bottom to bracket A, but it extended up. Bracket C tested lower and tested higher as well, and so on and so forth. So this is basically looking at the day, but organizing it by 30-minute time brackets. And we can go and we can set this so that we extend these letters. When we say align letters, essentially what it's doing is it's expanding the profile to show you what would be the equivalent of a 30-minute bar chart. So this is a 30-minute bar chart, technically, right now, okay? And when I say uncheck align letters, all it's doing is it's collapsing those 30-minute bars at each price to represent a statistical histogram. The gray area that you're seeing here is what's called the value area. The gold is the point of control for the market profile, and so on and so forth. And you can combine these profiles for multiple days. You could change the time frame. Hey, I want to see a month's profile. I want to see a week. I want to see 3 days combined. You can create your custom duration as well if you like. That's in the preferences. You could set the value area right here at 70%, which is standard. right? That represents one standard deviation. We're showing a volume profile here. We can turn that off and get rid of the volume profile. We're showing a volume profile to just give us a quick glimpse at how the volume profile is trading against the market profile. You can see the volume profile has a higher value area than the market profile, okay? So I'm gonna stop it right there with the TPO charts. You can explore yourself, of course. Advanced DOM, this is important. Again, I'll just use this old DOM here, or actually let's just go back to our heat map. The DOM here takes advantage of MBO capabilities of Rhythmic. Our understanding is that CQG may be coming out with MBO as well soon. Not sure, nothing confirmed from them. But MBO is what's called market by order. Market by order is only offered by Rhythmic right now, as far as I can tell. I may be wrong, but Rhythmic's the only one that takes advantage of this. And what this is it's a whole lot more information that comes raw from the exchange, and it provides information about the who made that order, who placed that order. If that order belongs in a bundle together, it gives information about where you are in the queue. It gives information about large blocks. So let's look at that for a second. I'm going to show you how large blocks look. Look at this. As I expand the bid, we can see in the purple color on top of the blue, we can see where in the bid large blocks are residing. So we can see where we are. And if I place an order in here, let's see if I'm able to, yes. Let's turn off cross-instrument trading. If I place an order in here, I'm not sure what's going on. We're unlocked. Cool, we're unlocked. The DOM's unlocked. Oh, it should be here, right there. So I just placed an order. You see this little white line right there? See how well, what this is saying is at 41.3175 in the ES, this is an order out on the market right now. And if in the ES, it's sitting behind a bunch of little blocks and a huge block, which makes up 328 contracts on the bid. If that block cancels and comes back in, that white line takes its place. And what this white line represents is my actual place in the queue. So if I had put this order out much earlier, it would be way over here. And I would get filled and know that as long as this large block is here, I've got somebody behind me who may, not necessarily will, but who may still trade and might back me up in my trade. That's the sort of information MBO offers. You can find out if an order is an iceberg, a stop, a stop loss trade, and so on and so forth. So this white line here is my actual place in queue. This is an important feature for scalpers especially. It tells you where you stand in the queue on any given market that supports MBO. MBO is supported by CME, Eurex currently, as far as I know. Okay, so that's one of the nice features about MBO. LTQ is last traded quantity. This is right now set to consolidate or accumulate. It's showing you the total that has traded at that price. You notice it's not printing 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 7, 1, 1, 1. If it's trading at that price, it's accumulating all the trades that are occurring at that price, so you can get an idea of what the aggressor is doing. So you can see it's 29, and then it upticked. Oh, somebody bought a bunch, somebody sold a bunch, and we're back down. And so this is the LTQ column is what's called the prints. These are the market prints. This is what makes up your time and sales. And in this case, we consolidate those prints. As long as it remains at that price, we continue to accumulate. That combined with the details we get from MBO, it gives a lot of capability in terms of order flow that we don't see in a typical platform, okay? The other piece, of course, is the notes, is the notes column. The notes column can be something like you can type stuff in it, and it'll just be just a standard notes column. Or I can remove my notes, but you notice that these notes didn't go away when I said remove notes. These notes actually come from cloud levels, which I'll cover in a minute. Cloud levels are levels that are stored on a server. So on our Amazon server, we give you a sample file. It's a CSV file. You can also select to run a cloud level. You can download this cloud level sample file and run it on your local machine. You just disable the cloud version, enable the local version, find it on your computer and display it, okay? And what we have this set to, we have the cloud levels set to display on the chart. So you can see, so let me change the opacity here. So you can see that cloud level is in line with what's in the notes. So you see this, and we have cloud levels set up every, I think, 10 or 20 points as a sample. And this is controlled by your file. This is controlled by your cloud levels, and you can set what you want it to show. You want it to show price or not, band prices, and so on and so forth. You want it on the right, left, and so on. But these are what's called cloud levels. So you can have your prior open, close, and so on and so forth, all operating. So we'll cover that in a minute. We covered large blocks. Executing on the DOM is just, on a DOM is as simple as making sure the DOM is unlocked. I can lock the DOM, and now I can't click in here. Make sure your DOM's unlocked, and you just click on limit, and there's your order. You want to cancel it, just hit cancel. If I click on the offer, on a selling offer, but do it on the bid, I'm setting a stop, okay? So if I click on the offer column, on the ask column, I have a limit order, and I can immediately see where I am in the queue. If I click on the bid side at a price higher than the inside market, then it sends a stop, okay? You can select whether you're trading off of an actual account or a simulated account. EdgeProX comes with its own simulation engine in case you're trading on IQ feed or some feed that does not provide execution services. The volume profile is just showing you how much volume traded at each price. This is very straightforward. The order column is showing you your orders. This is where you go to cancel orders, adjust orders. I can pick up an order and move it around. Pretty standard stuff. You can customize your default quantities. You can set these to whatever you like, right? And you can go into preferences. You can decide if you want to show your account. Generally, I'm trading an actual account, so I don't have an account choice, so I get rid of it. You can decide to show your P&L or not. You can show an indicator for the spread in case you're trading a wide market. You can stripe the DOM, so you can change it into stripes, okay? You can force it to double click to place orders. You can decide on shortcuts. There's so much here. The price column, again, if you want to use recentering by double clicking the price column, which is what I'm used to, you have to make sure you're not sending orders and this is not checked. There's a lot here that you can select. You can have it highlight today's open. You can highlight the prior close, which is right there. You can have it highlight whatever the last traded price is. You can have it highlight the high and the low, which is what we're doing here. If we scroll up enough, we'll see a green bar for the high of day, and so on and so forth. The volume column, there are settings you can set in there. So there's it's almost mind-blowing how much we can cover. So let's quickly talk about these strategy orders. Let's cover that while we're here. The default strategies that we have in here are set to a very simple offset. Bracket 1 is set to place 100% of the quantity that you got filled on, set as a stop that is offset by 10 ticks. We're set to ticks here, not percent. To 10, you can set percent if you're a swing trader, of course, and you can set a few more offsets. My risk is this much of my account, and so on and so forth, in case you want to do your money management within the strategy. But this is set to put 100% of the quantity in question at the 10 tick offset for a stop and 10 tick offset for a limit offer or bid to exit. So that's bracket one. And as you can see here, brackets are turned off, but if I click this button and it turns green, brackets are engaged and I can select which bracket I want to trade off of. So when I get filled, it'll automatically send those brackets across and manage those brackets for you. You can set as complicated or as simple a bracket set as you'd like. My recommendation to you is to switch to simulated when you're testing or checking your brackets. The buttons down below are fully configurable as well. So you can select the buttons and you can drag or remove whatever buttons you need. So I have it set to buy market, sell market, flatten all, cancel all, and reverse. And you're just basically sending an order. As soon as you click, you're sending a market order. You can flatten all, you can cancel all if you wish to do that. So you could do it with one button. The POS is just your position. It tells you what you have on. And that's pretty much it, the main pieces in terms of the DOM, okay? Guys, we're approaching almost an hour in and there's a fair amount to cover still. What do you suggest we do? Should we continue here or should we break it up and have you come in next Wednesday? What's your vote? Keep going? All right, well, if this is getting long for you, of course, you're welcome to drop off. If you have a question, we'll attempt to answer it before we leave. Hopefully we'll be done here in a few minutes. We're gonna jump into setting up simulated trading. Simulated trading by default is set to, I believe it's off. You need to come in here, come into preferences, hit the cog at the top, select simulated trading. You need to enable it. You could set the value of the simulated account. You can set it to not fill immediately. You can set it to work the order as best as it can. Of course, it's a best guess. You can decide to include your commissions in there or not, okay? And of course, you can reset the whole account to what it was before. So the trades from your simulated account will go into your performance, will go into the screen that is managing open trades. It's treated as if it's a normal account, okay? And then by checking this box, you're basically telling it, hey, I don't want to make the mistake of sending orders to live accounts, so disable trading on all accounts except for simulated. This way you don't mistakenly send an account to market when you think it's simulated. So that's what we have with simulated trading. Cross-instrument trading. Who's not familiar with cross-instrument trading? Is anybody not familiar with cross-instrument trading? I'll go over what it is. Cross-instrument trading is very simply using one product, using one contract to view or for your analysis, but sending your orders to a correlated contract. The cross-instrument contracts are configurable. They're configured in instruments right here. You can tell it what the cross instrument is. And if I right click on a chart, on any chart, and I choose cross trade, it'll tell me where my trades are going to go. So if I engage this, we will see at the top, it says ES close, cross trade, MES M1. It's telling me that if I go and trade here, it's going to give an error initially. This is a bug we're working on, but it did send an order. If I get filled on this order, it'll be a micros order. So if I go to my active order screen here on the account info page, you can see that that order actually went to the MES M1. You see that? So this feature here allows you to trade, to use the information or the volume from the NASDAQ and send it to the micro NASDAQ or micro Dow for the Dow, and so on and so forth. And with Eurex launching on Monday, the micro DAX, You can send orders from the DAX or the mini DAX to the micro DAX and so on and so forth. So you're not worried about liquidity issues for the micros. You're simply doing your analysis and trading the big contract, the main contract, but you're executing on the micro. This is recommended because it allows for an easy transition to the mini when you're ready. If you have a positive edge, you just turn off cross instrument trading and now you're trading on the full contract, right? So that's cross instrument trading. That was very quick and easy. Brackets, orders, and strategies. I covered this. You can create as many brackets or portions of brackets as you want. So, so brackets, exit strategies. So if I take bracket 3, you can see here bracket 3 is basically saying take 33% of my order. So this assumes a multiple of 3. Take 33% and set a stop at 10 ticks. So here's the stop, right? Stop, you could choose stop, limit, or trail, or whatever. So the first one's a market stop for 33% at 10 ticks. The second one is a market stop for 33% of 10 ticks. The last one is 34%. They have to add up to 100% for this thing to accept it, but I might set this to a trail. So every time the market upticks, it upticks by an offset of 10 ticks. And then my first target is 10 ticks for a limit order, second 20 ticks for a limit order, third 30 ticks for a limit order. I can remove these, I can add, I can make as many brackets as I wish. That's what that's what the strategy order system is about. Using cloud levels, I covered this a fair amount. I don't believe we need to dig too much into this. Updating the cloud levels, if you can put a cloud level on a server somewhere, including a Dropbox, and if you share that link and you update the file in that Dropbox using Excel or whatever, it'll update it for everybody that's receiving that cloud level. So these cloud levels here, for example, are set to check the server every 5 minutes. And if it finds that there's a change in the file, it'll simply pop up on the screen. Market's selling off nicely here finally. It'll pop up on the screen. Look at that offer coming in to chase. So that's what the cloud levels are about. EdgeProLine, some of you are familiar with the scratch point indicator or the Theo average indicator. That's what the EdgeProLine is. When you get filled, it draws a marker and a line, and it tells you your theoretical average price. So if I sold 25 for 2, bought back 24 for 1, my new average is not 20. My Theo average or my EdgeProLine is going to jump to 26 to indicate that on my remaining 1 lot, the scratch price is now 26. So you want your EdgeProLine to move away from the inside market as you scale out of a trade. We'll cover this in more depth on another occasion, but for those of you who are familiar with the scratch point indicator or the Theo average line, that's what that is. It draws a line on the chart as well as on your DOM. For questions or if you need support, here are your outlets. You can visit the knowledge base at support.edgeclear.com. You can, of course, email us at edgeprox@edgeclear.com. You can go to live chat at edgeclear.com. You have the phone numbers, US phone number, and then you can also subscribe if you like. At the end of the day, of course, we'd want you to support the platform so we can continue building in it. To subscribe to this immediately, go to edgeclear.com/register. As I mentioned, it's $34.99 a month. Okay, let's see what questions we have. Unfortunately, we're way over our time. We've spent an hour on this, but this was kind of a comprehensive overview. Let's see what questions we have. Does this allow us to use thick banded stock zones similar to IRT? Yes, so you can use the same thing. So you can see on this that the This is just a band thickness. There's a price at 41.20, and there's a band thickness that looks like 10 ticks. So 5 ticks up, 5 ticks down. So definitely can do that. You can also show a single line by setting the band thickness to 1, and it'll just be one straight line. But this is designed to show bands. I bought the MotiveWave order flow package so it would be possible to get the EdgePro line and other proprietary indicators, lots of features. Okay. Just speak to your broker, whoever that is, Max or Ian or whomever, and they'll sort that out for you. You can make a transition into EdgeProX. Yes, this is MotiveWave, but the idea here is that we didn't want to go out and build a platform from scratch. There are many, many products out there. We didn't want to spend our time developing a new platform and coming up with basically reinventing the wheel. So what we've done is we have taken a base, a frame, so to speak, and built on top of it, and we'll continue to customize and build on top of it. This is a MotiveWave. This is the MotiveWave engine, but it is customized to EdgeClear as EdgeProX, and what we develop into EdgeProX will be only available at EdgeProX. Okay. Would you go over making separate floating windows for different monitors? Yeah, so the floating window, you can create floating windows. You can actually create, and enlarge any window you like. Here, you can set this. Oh yeah, I can click on this, and now it's a floating window. Now I can move it to another screen. You can see me moving it to, I can actually enlarge it on another screen, maximize it on another screen to get another desktop. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to switch the screen here to screen number 1. See that? That's the same exact window I just popped off. So I can create as many of these as I like, right? Simply by clicking on the icon here to pop out the screen. You can always close it, right? Just lose all the analysis. So you're not limited as to how many screens you can have. You're limited, in fact, by your memory and the power of your computer, really. That's what limits how many screens you can have. You can actually create a layout like this. So the overview chart, and I can pop out this whole thing. Actually, I've been shown how to do that. You can create a layout, pop out the entire layout, and have a screen that has all 12 of these windows. Is there a recording for the replays? Yes, well, the recording is whatever information is there. So it's just loading tick data and replaying it for you however you like. Is it possible to divide the trading day in 3 volumes as in US, Europe, Asia? I'm not really sure. We'll have to look into that. It's a good question. Can you share the workspace with those that already have and use MotiveWave? If you're an EdgeClear customer, we can send you the workspace so that you have it. Can EdgeWatch be integrated in EdgeProX? Of course, as an EdgeClear customer, you have access to EdgeWatch. You just simply run it on the side. It's simply another connection into your Rhythmic platform. So yes, you can run them side by side. Okay. The dots don't aggregate well when you zoom out. Yes, that's something that's being worked on. Bookmap, for example, starts compressing dots into each other. They call it whatever smart something. This hasn't been built into this yet, but eventually we'll need that. I need to be able to see what has happened for the entire session. So that's something that's in the works, Kevin. We're working on doing this. Okay. Is there a VWAP? Yes, the VWAP. You can add VWAP here. Here's how you add an indicator. You just can hit Control T, okay, and you just search VWAP. There it is, VWAP. Set your parameters, how many bars back, show all, whatever it is, and then you can set standard deviations if you like. And as soon as you hit create, it'll show up on your screen. You can have multiples of those. That's all the questions we had, I think. Let me double check. Will you be doing the walkthrough each week? No, we have a very, very smart individual here named Giancarlo who's going to walk you through these on a weekly basis, and he'll be responsible for making sure that repeated questions make it into our knowledge base and all of that. So Giancarlo is the gentleman's name. He's an associate broker here. He's becoming an expert on the platform. I often go to him to get questions answered, and he'll be doing the walkthroughs going forward. So we'll cut it off here. We're way over our time. We've gone a long ways. Good luck, everyone. In case you have questions, again, we want you to reach out by going to the knowledge base, support.edgeclear.com. Try that first. See if you can find your answer there. Email us at edgeprox@edgeclear.com. Somebody will respond. Go to the chat widget on our website at edgeclear.com. And then, of course, we'd love for you to register and support this effort by going to edgeclear.com/register. You clearly don't have to wait for your demo or your trial to end to register. We'd love to have you on as a member as soon as possible so we can support further development. We're going to make this as good as it can get. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Thanks for attending. And if you have more questions once we're gone, just feel free to submit them to edgeprox@edgeclear.com. Take care.